Taxes might be certain, but how Americans try to dodge them. That's where the chaos begins. From fake farms to spiritual chicken retreats, here are 101 of the craziest tax avoidance stunts ever pulled in the US. 1. In one of the more luxurious tax dodging schemes, a wealthy businessman attempted to classify his private yacht as a legitimate floating office by holding mock business meetings with friends aboard, complete with printed agendas, catered meals, and fake minutes, until the IRS noticed the only thing being charted was his summer cruise across the Caribbean. 2. A Florida pet owner tried to convince the IRS that her Burmese python was more than just a scaly roommate, claiming it served as a full-time security guard for her home, and even filed deductions for its food, tank, and vet bills under business protection expenses, arguing that its intimidating presence alone prevented any burglaries. 3. In what might be the most extravagant cash grab disguised as romance, a couple from Texas hosted a full-scale fake wedding, complete with rented tuxedos, a live band, and staged vows, solely to collect tax-free monetary gifts from guests, only for the entire scheme to unravel when a suspicious relative discovered no legal marriage had ever been registered. 4. One California man went to absurd lengths to save on property taxes by declaring his backyard swimming pool as an Olympic training facility, complete with fabricated athlete rosters and a printed schedule of pretend swim classes. Yet when tax officials visited, they found the students were actually mannequins bobbing lifelessly in the water. 5. In a truly bold tax filing, a wannabe screenwriter in New York attempted to deduct every single one of his streaming subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, even a horror-only app, as research materials for a screenplay he never actually wrote, but claimed was still in emotional development. 6. A small business owner in Arizona got creative with stress relief policies by listing his golden retriever as a certified wellness consultant, attempting to deduct not only dog treats and grooming sessions, but also $2,000 in doggy spa treatments, arguing the pup played a crucial role in boosting office morale. 7. A woman tried to exploit a tax loophole by renting her own house to herself using a shell LLC she created, essentially creating a fake landlord-tenant relationship so she could claim monthly rent payments as a business expense, until auditors noticed the company's address was, unsurprisingly, the same as her home. 8. Somewhere in the wilds of Texas, a man attempted to claim massive agricultural tax breaks by registering a goat yoga farm, despite not owning a single living goat. Instead, he set up cardboard cutouts of goats on yoga mats and played goat sounds from a speaker, hoping to fool the tax inspector with artificial ambience. 9. One clown, literally, filed a tax return in which he listed every piece of his colorful wardrobe, from rainbow suspenders to oversized red shoes, as legitimate business expenses, even arguing that his balloon animal materials should be considered essential inventory. But the IRS raised a brow when he tried to write off emotional trauma from being hit in the face with pies. 10. A crafty fraudster faked an entire in-home daycare, inventing a list of imaginary children with fabricated names and birthdays, submitting receipts for snacks, toys, and even birthday party decorations, until the IRS got suspicious when she attempted to deduct enough juice boxes to hydrate a small army of toddlers. 11. A man convinced himself that his numerous Tinder dates counted as networking events, filing restaurant receipts, rideshare costs, and even new clothing under business development, insisting that each potential romance doubled as a professional opportunity, until the IRS reminded him that heartbreak isn't a deductible loss. 12. Somewhere in Oregon, a small group of tax rebels created a parody religion centered around worshiping a garden gnome, filing for tax-exempt status as a religious organization and claiming weekly lawn mowing sessions as sacred rituals. And for a while, it actually worked until someone reported that their holy relic had a Home Depot sticker on it. 13. A Michigan man tried to convince tax officials that his garage band, who had never played a gig, was a legitimate musical enterprise, deducting expenses for guitars, amps, beer, and even a smoke generator, instead of the usual fog machine, justifying it all as essential performance equipment, despite the fact that their only audience had been complaining neighbors. 14. One homeowner tried to avoid property tax increases by claiming their house was haunted and therefore uninhabitable, submitting blurry photos of shadows, strange noises on cassette tapes, and even bringing in a local ghost hunting group to testify that the bad vibes made it unsuitable for human occupation. 15. A self-proclaimed spiritual consultant listed her psychic business as a professional service and attempted to deduct everything from tarot cards and candles to crystals and incense, arguing that these tools were essential to her ability to offer financial forecasting with cosmic insights. But the IRS didn't see the future aligning in her favor. 16. Hoping to reduce her taxable income, a New Yorker converted her spare bedroom into a mini cinema, complete with beanbags, a portable popcorn machine, and blackout curtains, claiming it screened indie films for exclusive audiences, comprising her cat and a few reluctant friends. 17. A Louisiana man included his pet boa constrictor on his tax return as a salaried property security consultant, insisting that its mere presence kept potential trespassers away, and, oddly enough, tried to write off the cost of its heat lamp as office utilities. 18. An entrepreneur from California converted his basement into a motivational training space, outfitting it with mirrors, gym mats, and a lone punching bag, then declared it a business expense for his self-help brand, which existed solely as a barely active Instagram page. 19. Someone in Ohio attempted to deduct an entire year's worth of steakhouse dinners as client meetings, despite running a solo online business selling crocheted ferret costumes. When asked for documentation, he submitted selfies with entrees labeled Carl, potential investor. 20. A bold Texan declared that his taxidermy collection, which included a moose wearing sunglasses and a raccoon posed as a bartender, qualified as an interactive wildlife education exhibit, allowing him to write off part of his mortgage as museum space. 21. Rather than paying vehicle taxes, a man in Nevada registered his Lamborghini as a mobile therapy unit, claiming it boosted mental health for everyone who saw it on the road. His evidence was a folder of compliments from social media comments. 22. A small-town artist from Oregon wrote off hundreds of dollars worth of sidewalk chalk, glitter, and googly eyes after describing her work as experimental tax-themed performance art, which involved dancing in a tutu outside the local IRS office to spread awareness. 23. One couple created a fake nonprofit called Hug America and said their mission was to deliver free hugs nationwide for emotional healing. They took a 3-month RV road trip, claimed every gas station, diner, and motel stay as charitable work, and submitted a map of hug coverage zones. 24. A man in Arkansas declared his backyard duck pond a federally protected wetland habitat and requested a conservation exemption from local taxes. The twist? The pond was artificial and had floating plastic ducks bought from a Halloween store. 25. A would-be influencer in Miami turned her entire apartment into a lifestyle branding lab, covering every wall with neon signs, setting up a selfie corner in the bathroom, and writing off all her scented candles and mood lighting as creative equipment. 26. An Illinois retiree applied for an agricultural tax break by claiming that his rooftop garden, containing 4 tomato plants and a wilting basil, qualified as an urban farm, complete with business cards that read, Sky High Produce, LLC. 27. A man fabricated a spiritual retreat dubbed the Sanctuary of Internal Revenue Peace on a remote desert plot, hosting a solitary meditation session there and subsequently claiming $12,000 in deductions for holy silence preservation. 28. One guy claimed his Halloween costume business was year-round and deducted every holiday decoration he bought, from inflatable skeletons to theatrical lighting equipment, as inventory. When the IRS questioned why these items were always at his home in October, he simply responded, field testing. 29. A woman listed her antique doll collection as a historical research archive and deducted the cost of a storage unit, security cameras, and even a dehumidifier to protect the integrity of the material culture. But forgot to mention the dolls were also being used in her haunted house attraction. 30. A man in Georgia filed a return that included a deduction for spiritual consulting fees, which turned out to be payments made to a psychic hotline. When questioned, he defended it passionately, stating that their advice helped him make financial decisions, though none of those decisions, apparently, involved paying his taxes. 31. A Pennsylvania man attempted to register his backyard tiki bar as a mobile outreach unit for cultural appreciation, arguing that the hand-carved wooden decor and exotic drink recipes helped foster international understanding. Unfortunately, the IRS didn't find cultural diplomacy in coconut rum. 32. In an especially dramatic twist, a woman from Arizona claimed a portion of her home was a sacred healing vortex, where she hosted energy-aligning rituals. She deducted candles, crystals, essential oils, and incense under the label Therapeutic Spiritual Inventory, though the only known visitor was her skeptical sister. 33. A man in Illinois converted an old ice cream truck into what he claimed was a mobile tax preparation studio, despite the fact that the truck still sold popsicles and played circus music. His reasoning? He gave out free budgeting tips with every cone. 34. One retiree in New Hampshire decorated his entire home with vintage political memorabilia and called it a living museum of civic history. He offered $5 tours, printed a brochure, and filed for a non-profit exemption. The museum had no visitors, but the tax benefits were flowing, until his neighbor reported it was just a glorified man cave. 35. A creative freelancer in Seattle argued that his dating app subscription was part of market research for a screenplay on modern romance, deducting expenses for romantic dinners, wardrobe upgrades, and even a solo dance class. 36. In an effort to dodge vehicle registration fees, a man in Alabama declared his pickup truck a mobile command center for his non-existent volunteer disaster response unit. He added magnetic signs with a fake logo, parked it dramatically on his lawn, and waited for no calls. 37. A Minnesota man, who sold exactly 3 hand-carved spoons on Etsy, claimed his garage woodworking setup as a full-scale artisanal production facility, attempting to write off everything from his new table saw to his daily coffee, citing it as a creative stimulant. 38. A self-styled eco-entrepreneur in California set up a compost pile and 2 beehives in his yard, then filed for agricultural tax status. When asked for documentation, he submitted a hand-drawn map of his eco-campus and a poem about the bees. 39. A New York woman opened a TikTok account for her cat and labeled all her feline-related expenses, food, vet bills, scratching posts, as social media marketing costs. While her video of the cat wearing sunglasses did get 12 likes, the IRS remained unconvinced of its business potential. 40. One particularly bold man filed an expense report for a week-long trip to Las Vegas, claiming it was a financial education seminar. He submitted screenshots of poker tutorials and blackjack charts, conveniently forgetting to mention the club receipts and hotel minibar charges. 41. A man from South Dakota claimed that his backyard treehouse was actually a guest house for international interns working on his non-existent startup. He even submitted fake email transcripts of application letters, written quite transparently in his own voice. 42. A Florida artist claimed thousands in expenses for neon body paint, LED lights, and a haze machine by labeling his backyard dance parties as experimental multimedia art installations, though video evidence of his revelries resembled a raucous spring break bash. 43. A dog groomer from Nevada declared a portion of her home a canine wellness retreat, outfitted it with aromatherapy diffusers and relaxation music, and wrote off the costs of doggy bathrobes, herbal paw balms, and a Himalayan salt lamp shaped like a bone. 44. A man in Colorado claimed he was developing a groundbreaking weather meditation technique and deducted outdoor gear, camping equipment, and drone footage services under a fake research project titled Cloud Mindfulness and Fiscal Energy Alignment. 45. And in one of the more bizarre attempts, a couple in Vermont converted their garage into what they described as an apocalyptic preparation center, deducted the cost of canned food, a water purifier, and a year's supply of freeze-dried meat, and listed their doomsday stockpile as strategic business inventory for their imaginary consulting firm, Collapsco. 46. A man in Utah ran a YouTube channel with 6 subscribers and claimed it as a full-time media company, deducting everything from drone equipment to costume wigs under production expenses. Though his only upload was a 5-minute silent video titled Tax Time Vibes. 47. One imaginative woman in Georgia converted her front lawn into what she described as a meditative sculpture park, using lawn gnomes, flamingos, and an inflatable swan to create what she called visual soul alignment. She filed for art space exemption and even submitted a blurry video tour set to whale sounds. 48. A man in Missouri declared his home sauna a mental clarity capsule and argued that it was essential for his entrepreneurial visioning sessions. He attempted to deduct its installation, monthly maintenance, and even eucalyptus oil under leadership development. 49. A wannabe life coach in North Carolina deducted the cost of a luxury retreat in Bali, claiming it was personal enlightenment research. He submitted Instagram posts of himself doing yoga on the beach as proof he was preparing to launch a coaching brand. It never launched. 50. A retired librarian in Maine filed a return showing deductions for thousands of dollars in yarn, glitter glue, and googly eyes, calling it educational crafting R&D for a children's book series that had yet to be outlined, let alone written. 51. In Las Vegas, a man opened a casino consulting service with no clients and deducted every night out as a field study of competitive entertainment ecosystems. He even wrote off Buffett expenses as executive lunch meetings. 52. A man in Tennessee argued that his karaoke machine and disco ball were vital tools in building team morale for his LLC, despite being the sole employee. He also deducted his matching glitter blazer as client engagement attire. 53. A spiritual influencer from California claimed her entire apartment was a frequency sanctuary, where she hosted live streams of herself meditating next to humming bowls. She deducted her internet bill, candles, and a fog machine as energy broadcast infrastructure. 54. A New Jersey man created a blog reviewing hot dogs from across the state and filed all food-related travel as culinary journalism. The IRS wasn't impressed with his 3-paragraph article titled, "Ballpark Dogs Are Still King." 55. A Texas couple installed a bounce house in their backyard and registered their property as a recreational therapeutic facility, insisting it supported emotional regulation for stressed adults. They deducted everything, from extension cords to inflatable unicorns. 56. A retired dentist from Oregon began making tooth-shaped soap and registered his hobby as a hygiene awareness nonprofit. His mission: to cleanse the nation, literally and metaphorically. His deductions included glitter, molds, scented oils, and oddly, a foghorn. 57. A Florida woman tried to write off an entire luxury wardrobe as costuming for her side hustle as a tarot reader. The justification: her sequin robes and dramatic capes enhanced mystical authority. The receipts were dazzling. The refund? Denied. 58. One crypto enthusiast in Arizona deducted the cost of 3 gaming PCs, 2 monitors, and a neon-lit office chair by claiming he was launching a financial wellness NFT platform. His business plan? A single meme of a cat holding a Bitcoin. 59. A man in Illinois filed deductions for martial arts classes, claiming he was developing a self-defense course titled Karate for Accountants. The course never launched, but he did reach a green belt and wrote off his nunchucks. 60. And finally, a woman from Colorado attempted to register her backyard chicken coop as a creative brainstorming zone, where she claimed to develop poetry while watching her hens. She deducted feed, fencing, and even tiny hand-sewn chicken costumes as inspiration-enhancing materials. 61. A man in Wisconsin tried to pass off his vintage pinball collection as a mechanical engineering learning lab, claiming that by studying the inner workings of old arcade machines, he was preparing to launch an educational tech startup. In reality, he was just reliving his high school glory days, quarter by quarter. 62. A Virginia couple built a backyard treehouse and claimed it was a nature retreat space for executive planning. They submitted a business plan that included brainstorming sessions, yoga mats, and trail mix receipts. But investigators found a mini fridge full of hard seltzer and a dartboard with their boss's face on it. 63. An aspiring motivational speaker from Nebraska deducted every self-help book he ever bought. Dozens of titles with names like Crush It with Confidence and Monetize Your Aura, along with the ergonomic chair he read them in, claiming it all as professional development. 64. One barista in Portland listed his personal blog as a philosophy startup and deducted coffee, notebooks, and a secondhand typewriter as ideation tools. The blog: 3 unfinished posts about whether time is real and 1 espresso-stained haiku. 65. A woman in San Diego wrote off her entire honeymoon to Hawaii under the label Small Business Retreat, insisting that tropical environments helped her manifest abundance. Her evidence: a vision board with seashells and a single receipt for a piña colada. 66. A man from Idaho created a fake wildlife documentary project and tried to deduct camping gear, trail snacks, and a drone by claiming he was filming the migratory patterns of squirrels. He submitted 12 hours of shaky footage, most of which showed him napping in a hammock. 67. A New York actor with no booked roles deducted 5 sets of headshots, 3 wigs, and emotional training materials, which turned out to be therapy sessions. He wrote off his therapist's couch as a rehearsal set. 68. In Colorado, a woman opened a crystal tuning business from her garage, claiming she could rebalance people's auras using sound bowls and moon water. She deducted custom robes, Bluetooth speakers, and $400 worth of Himalayan salt. Her business motto: align your taxes, align your soul. 69. A man in Ohio turned his backyard shed into what he called an invention lab, claiming he was developing gravity-defying slippers. He deducted a fog machine, safety goggles, and a trampoline, though the only invention he produced was a sprained ankle. 70. A Massachusetts couple threw monthly themed costume parties and claimed that they were team-building simulations for their Etsy shop. They deducted makeup, wigs, props, and 25 bags of marshmallows under brand activation materials. Their Etsy sold pot holders. 71. A Nevada gamer contended that his Twitch streaming hobby doubled as digital consulting, deducting tax write-offs for gaming chairs, energy drinks, ring lights, and even stage effects equipment used during dramatic rage quits, instead of the frequently used fog machine. 72. A self-declared culinary influencer in Louisiana listed every takeout order as competitive flavor research, including burritos, sushi, and late-night fried pickles. He submitted a taste journal as evidence, which mostly said, "Fire, so fire." 73. A man in Kentucky opened an LLC for his cat, calling it Whisker Ventures. He tried to deduct toys, vet bills, gourmet treats, and a tiny office chair, claiming the feline was testing pet productivity tools for future monetization. The IRS pounced. 74. A woman in New Jersey created a fictitious consulting firm called Inner Success Matrix and filed deductions for crystals, robes, a fog machine, and a whopping $200 hand-carved walking staff. Her core service? Helping clients envision tax-free futures. 75. And finally, a conspiracy podcaster in Texas claimed he needed complete isolation to record sensitive transmissions, so he deducted an underground bunker rental, tinfoil, 6 months of survival rations, and a signal jammer. His podcast had 2 listeners, both government agents. 76. A man in Oregon filed a deduction for his unicycle, claiming it was his primary transportation method for delivering motivational speeches in public parks. He also wrote off juggling balls, glitter suspenders, and a kazoo labeled Audience Engagement Tool. 77. A wellness coach in Arizona turned her morning walks into a business expense, saying they were mindful networking sessions. She submitted selfies taken mid-stride and claimed her walking shoes, smoothie bowls, and even sunscreen as client outreach essentials. 78. In Washington, a man attempted to rebrand his bachelor pad as a luxury hospitality prototype, arguing that his IKEA furnishings and LED strip lighting were part of an experimental design for a future Airbnb empire, with his business plan scribbled on a napkin reading "Cool Vibes Zone." 79. A New Hampshire woman who sold 3 crocheted cat hats online attempted to write off a brand photo shoot, complete with a rented fog machine, 2 strobe lights, and a miniature chaise lounge for her feline model. The IRS found the photos incredible, but not credible. 80. A Georgia man with a YouTube cooking channel, featuring only 2 recipes, claimed deductions for exotic spices, 5 cutting boards, and a $900 chef's knife he used once before switching back to takeout. His excuse? The culinary arts are unpredictable. 81. A couple from Montana listed their backyard hammock area as a wellness retreat incubator, submitting costs for coconut water, wind chimes, citronella candles, and embroidered towels bearing the slogan, "Think less, deduct more." 82. A woman in Texas created a fake LLC called Spirit Snacks and declared her candy stash as client gifts for morale maintenance. She also tried to write off a candy dispenser shaped like a screaming clown head. The IRS was not amused. 83. A man in Rhode Island claimed he was developing a board game about the U.S. tax code and deducted dice, mini-figurines, markers, and research snacks. His prototype consisted of a Monopoly board with the word audit written over every square. 84. An aspiring TikTok astrologer in Florida deducted her makeup, lighting ring, and moon charting app as production tools for spiritual financial forecasting. Her top-performing video was titled, "What Your IRS Sign Says About Your Refund." 85. A Delaware man claimed his obsession with puzzles was actually strategic thinking development and deducted 27 jigsaw puzzles, a custom puzzle table, and a humidifier labeled cognitive fog reduction device. 86. One couple filed their annual beach vacation as creative retreat to ideate startup concepts, despite producing nothing but sandcastles. Their PowerPoint pitch deck included the phrase, "like Uber, but for sunscreen." 87. A man in Mississippi created a fictional character named Rebate Rex, a dinosaur mascot he said helped teach kids about taxes. He submitted costume expenses, comic book illustrations, and a $600 animatronic tail. There were no kids, only Rex. 88. An online candle seller in Maine tried to deduct a 2-week silence retreat, arguing it improved her scent creativity flow. She also deducted the smell testing journal she burned afterward in a ritual of release. 89. A man in Nevada transformed his garage into a financial dojo, where he claimed to teach people how to battle IRS anxiety using martial arts metaphors. He submitted receipts for robes, punching bags, and a custom banner that read, "Tax like a tiger." 90. A woman in South Carolina claimed her karaoke machine was a verbal confidence amplifier she used to practice business pitches. She submitted recordings of herself singing ABBA and insisted Dancing Queen was part of her branding. 91. A man in Alaska claimed his ice fishing hut as a seasonal tax think tank, complete with receipts for portable heaters, beef jerky, and a waterproof laptop case. His stated mission? To reflect on deductions in an environment free from distractions, or fish. 92. A Michigan artist declared every thrift store purchase as found object investments for post-consumer sculpture, including mannequin legs, vintage bowling shoes, and a ceramic frog toilet lid. His art show was held in his garage and attended only by his dog. 93. One Florida retiree registered his bocce ball court as a cross-generational bonding arena, citing its importance to interpersonal financial discussions. He also tried to deduct his sun hat, calling it a networking visor. 94. A woman in Washington launched a business called Reiki for Houseplants, offering spiritual energy sessions for ferns and succulents. She deducted crystals, flower pots, and 12 hours of spa music. Her slogan? Help your plants photosynthesize with purpose. 95. A YouTuber in Nevada who reviewed fast food chicken sandwiches wrote off every meal as industry analysis, even submitting detailed napkin diagrams, When asked about his credentials, he replied, "My taste buds don't lie." 96. A Colorado man created a fake podcast about financial resilience through folk music and deducted banjo strings, microphone foam covers, and a vintage harmonica, though the only recording was him humming, "The IRS took my baby." 97. A Pennsylvania woman ran an Etsy store selling handmade potpourri labeled "Tax Time Calm Bags" and deducted lavender, cinnamon sticks, hemp string, and emotional support tea. She claimed they reduced audit anxiety through aromatherapy. 98. In Arizona, a man set up a telescope in his backyard and claimed he was starting an astrological financial forecasting business. He wrote off stargazing blankets, a moon calendar app, and a t-shirt that read, "Mercury retrograde, IRS delay." 99. A North Carolina retiree attempted to deduct every garage sale purchase under vintage asset recovery, including used Christmas sweaters and a lava lamp, saying he was rebuilding America's resale economy one impulse, buy at a time. 100. A woman in Kentucky opened a tax-themed escape room in her basement for friends, featuring puzzles like find the hidden deduction and defeat the auditor. She deducted props, snacks, and a fog machine called Audit Smoke. 101. And finally, a man in California tried to deduct his entire wedding as a corporate merger celebration, listing his spouse as a partner in emotional assets. He filed the reception dinner under stakeholder engagement and the bouquet under branding materials. The IRS, not invited. From bizarre to borderline genius, these tax dodges prove one thing: where there's a loophole, there's an American ready to jump through it. Which one blew your mind the most? Let us know below.